right, thanks for joining us on Loud and Unfiltered. Today, we've got a really old friend of mine, as you could tell just by looking at him. Son of a bitch is old. Neal Middleton of Royal Bliss. How the hell you doing today, my friend?
Doing good, brother. Good to hear from you, man. Been a while.
It has been a while. We were just talking. I guess the last time I saw you or we saw each other was up in Vegas at the Radio Contraband Convention. You and Taylor came up and actually played the wedding of Tina Smash.
That was awesome.
Yeah, y'all got to perform at that wedding. That was pretty cool.
I'm surprised we both remember that.
Considering how much alcohol we had in us, I'm very surprised we remember that. But I think our entire history is based off of, holy crap, I can't believe we remembered that.
Yeah, there's a lot of those moments for sure.
Right.
Man, the very first time we met and hung out. Holy crap.
Oh, my God. How long ago was that?
Oh, man. I want to say, because that was life in between.
Yeah.
So it was probably 14 years ago, something like that, 13, 14 years ago, playing the Midnight Rodeo over there in Abilene.
Oh, man. Yeah, when you guys first when you guys first came to Abilene, where I'm at, that was right at the right when Devils and Angels was really just killing it on radio and everything. You guys had been out before. I mean, you guys had previous albums and stuff, but Devils and Angels really kind of took you up to that superstardom platform, what kind of set the trajectory for Royal Bliss. And that song, I still consider that one of my top 5 favorite songs of all time. And I'm not just saying that to kiss your ass. I mean, that is a legit one of the greatest rock songs ever written, Neal.
Damn, man. Well, that's a hell of a compliment coming from you. I appreciate it. It's still one of my favorite songs to play live. So it's, it definitely helped put us on the map. It's what got us signed to Capitol Records in the first place. And
yeah,
kind of launched our career around the country, around the world. It's been a hell of a ride.
Hey, speaking of being around the world, just a little sidebar. Do you find fans across the pond appreciate live music more than those here in the States? And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I just, being in radio for 30 years, you get to meet a lot of people like yourself and others, and just kind of living vicariously through you. It, to me, you and other bands, to me, it seems like European fans seem to be a little bit more passionate.
I would compare it. Well, I mean, to be honest, we haven't, our first UK tour is coming up. The only time I've ever experienced, like the foreign fans is when we're doing, like we did the Kiss cruise with Kiss.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of fans from Germany and the UK on that. And they were very passionate. It reminds me of a lot of like Midwest fans, Wisconsin and Illinois and Iowa, where, you're their band and they appreciate what you're doing and they're wearing all your merch and so excited to be there. It's such a major part of their life. That's what with COVID, man, crushed those people whenever they couldn't go out. You just saw it on their face. I remember when we first got back to touring, some of those first shows, and there are people just bawling, just so happy to be at a live concert again.
Yeah.
And that's what I compared, like the people I've met from overseas that come to our shows, either, like the cruises that we do or, some of the shows down in Jamaica and Costa Rica that we've done.
Yeah.
Where they're so passionate, like just, and it's awesome. I love the energy they put out.
Yeah. It's really kind of it's a different energy, and I like how you compared it to the Midwest, because Midwest states right now, or at least right now, I don't, hasn't always been that way, but the Midwest seems to be, I guess, the epicenter of American, music and everything. I mean, you had Seattle, Washington, Atlanta, stuff. I think the Midwest is kind of where it's at. And, thanks to, of course, to bands like Slipknot. I mean, when you got a band like that coming out of your region, of course, it's going to put it on the map.
Yeah, I don't, it's just that energy, and it's the rock and roll, rock and roll is what they love out there. And I don't know, maybe, the Slipknot and You know, in the Chicago area, you got Disturbed and bands like that, and the Smashing Pumpkins that came out so many years ago, and I don't know, and plus they like to party, and rock and roll is party music. So,
hey, speaking of partying, do you feel like that's kind of we've kind of lost touch with the sex, drugs, and rock and roll of rock and roll? And I'm not telling everybody to go out and do drugs. I'm just saying that, you know, that was like the vibe. That was the lifestyle. That was the bumper sticker on all the T-shirts. I mean, is that still there? I mean, you being on stage and, you know, playing different, different areas all the time and stuff. I mean, do you see that, or is it just has rock and roll become a little bit more, I don't know, kind of laid back?
I don't know about laid back necessarily, but it's became more serious, you know, like the content and the lyrics and, you know, the message behind a lot of the music has become a lot more serious, a lot more introverted, almost like introspective kind of music instead of let's party. I mean, there's still bands out there. I mean, we have our party anthems. We're still considered kind of a party band, even though we have some of the serious notes in our music a lot, you know, a lot more nowadays. And I think that's, you know, as you grow older and life happens to you, you start singing about songs like, hey, I probably need to stop drinking so much. And I think country music kind of ran with the whole party scene, you know. They've taken the 80s rock vibe and just like, let's party, let's drink, and ran with it. That's why the country festivals and concerts are, you know, they're big parties. That's why people go there. And I mean, rock is still a party and a good time, but it's not the main focus of it.
No, you're right. That makes a great point, and I haven't thought about it that way. You're talking country music. You may know where I'm going to go with this. You guys kind of ventured into the country music world. You know, first off, was it how you just described the country festival world, the country music world? Was that one of the reasons why you decided to go that route for an album?
No, it was just, I don't know. We just got to a point, like, it's been full, like, just being honest. It got really frustrating playing a lot of rock shows with all these bands that are using a million backing tracks, and the singers aren't singing, and like it was just fake, and I got sick of that. And I know there was a lot of really talented people in Nashville and around the country world. Not that we wanted to ever go country, but some of the Southern rock kind of vibe. And so I was really curious. We had a really good friend of ours, Monty Powell, who had written, you know, like 7, 8 #1 hits with country and lived out here in Utah. We wrote a couple Royal Bliss songs with him. So we said, hey man, let's write a record that with no label, you know, that's not be focused rock. This is write some songs that you want to write. And he introduced us. We were on all these crazy festivals with, you know, Keith Urban and Maren Morris, Toby Keith. And I mean, it was wild, but we were still doing our rock thing. It was like one night we'd be with Keith Urban and the next night we'd be with Rat and Buckcherry. I remember that happening back to back. And all we did was change our shirts from plaid to black. There's a song right there, from plaid to black. But it was like, it was interesting though, because I saw some of the same stuff in country, how you know, like, we're so old school, like maybe too much pride of being authentic, because we worked our ass off to learn our craft and songwriting and our instruments. And then you go into country and it's like, man, no one's writing any of their songs.
No.
They're performing, which I respect that, because there's some shredders out there. Some of the best guitarists in the world are in the country music scene.
Agreed.
And they can shred. And the vocalists and everything else. So I was inspired by the talent, but uninspired by the lack of originality in the songwriting and how just plain it was for so many of those bands. So it didn't last long. You know, we did about a year and a half. We had our video on CMT, which was cool. It was a fun experience. We met some great people, but you know, rock and roll is where our heart and soul is. And really that experience led to the next album of frustration that got that rock and roll back out of us, where it's just like, you know what? Let's just be us. Let's not worry about chasing that game or being in the cool kids club. And we've been able to build a career off of Royal Bliss music by being, I think, authentic.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, we can do whatever the hell we want. We have no labels that own us or tell us, or no management. We're 100% independent. And so it's like, if I want to write a country song, I'll go write a country song. I'll write a freaking Disney song. It doesn't even matter. And I think at this point now, our fans understand that, where it's just like, that's Royal Bliss.
Yeah.
We're not pigeonholed into this certain genre of how we have to write our albums. And I love that. I love the freedom.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned just a minute ago, you said we didn't necessarily wanted to go country, but more of kind of the Southern rock vibe. Now, that is just saying, Southern rock. That's how I describe a lot of bands that don't fit into genres nowadays, because you've got artists. Okay, let's take from the countryside, Zach Brown Band or Chris Stapleton. While they may have some slower, waltzy type of music, they're rockers. But it has, you immediately think of Skynyrd or something like that. It harkens back to what rock was, when there was a Southern rock revival and everything. And outside of like Sirius XM or Pandora, stuff like that, I personally think that we need to have radio stations need to take that chance and jump out there and create like a new format, a Southern rock, not Americana, but like a Southern rock style, where these artists like Royal Bliss that are kind of fusing, various styles, because, you don't turn on the radio. You're not going to hear Disturbed followed by Lynyrd Skynyrd or vice versa. So, having like a format because like bands like Royal Bliss, you've got Saving Abel, Three Doors Down, Jackal. I mean, there's so many of these bands that are defined as hard rock, but just so many more layers, and it just really kind of bugs me that there's like, to me, there's a huge audience that's just being ignored because of that.
Yeah, and sorry, I lost you for a second. My wife leaving for work, and it got Bluetooth went over there, so I'm like, what is going on? Turn off my Bluetooth.
All right, for those of you that are watching this podcast, you probably saw Neal doing some stuff. For those of you listening, it was fairly seamless because I just talk out of my ass most of the time, and Neal was taking care of tech stuff while I'm talking. But to me, Royal Bliss is like, if I had to define it, even though you're from Utah, y'all are like a Southern rock band.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got the gist of what you're saying. And there's a lot of bands like that out there. Like you mentioned Saving Abel, Blacktop Mojo's, Texas band. I don't know if you mentioned them, but and then you got bands like the Black Moods out of Phoenix, but they're just kind of pure rock. And it's funny, if you're not an active rock, you don't sound a certain way, use a certain guitar amp, then you're not like considered this, I don't know, active rock, metal, or hard rock.
Yeah.
And then there's all these bands like us that I think are really focused on melody and lyrical content and things like that. And I wish that more rock stations out there in the world would kind of embrace those bands.
Yeah.
Because I think you can have, Disturbed and Korn and, Blacktop Mojo and Saving Abel and Royal Bliss and Black Stone Cherry and Blackberry Smoke even on some of those stations. And I almost think that that's where, some of the rock stations around the country are missing out.
Yeah, I agree.
They need some depth, it's because it's like so much of the same stuff over and over again. And, that music's great, but, having a little bit of variety. I mean, I think that's kind of the rock that we grew up on too, where, you were listening, it was like alternative rock where you had Pearl Jam and Green Day and Korn and Disturbed on those same stations. And I wish that, it would kind of go back to that. But I think the audience, especially for radio, the audience of the metalheads are a lot louder in voicing their opinions and being like, no, this band doesn't scream, there's not shredding, or blah, blah, blah. This sucks. I'm going to stop listening to your station if you play this crap. because it's some dude in his mom's basement playing video games, listening to the radio station, has nothing else better to do but call in and complain about this band that has melody in their music.
Yeah.
So,
well, okay, for those that are just now checking this out, we got Royal Bliss frontman singer Neal Middleton with us on Loud and Unfiltered. We're kind of talking about bands that are kind of stuck in the middle. It's almost like politics. You've got the extremes that are the real loud demographics, and then everybody else in the middle that kind of that are kind of overshadowed and don't have much of a voice. But regardless, I mean, it's working for you guys because you said earlier you're able to make a career out of being Royal Bliss, true to yourself, true to your fans, doing exactly things the way you want to do them without any of the constraints of like a record label and stuff. So, man, congrats on the longevity of the band, because you don't see that nowadays. I mean, they churn and burn, man. Let's see how fast we can get the bands through.
Yeah, they just spit them out. I was thinking about that the other day, like just going through all the bands that we played with through the years that are no longer around. And that's the problem, just like what we're talking about. But I think the bands like us are able to stick around because we build a fan base, the old school, grassroots style, and those fans are locked into us for life. It's like they can tell that we care about them. We're not just a band that's going to headline a festival or a band that is shoved down your throat. And, I won't name any bands, but there's, that we're not one of those bands. We're a band of the people.
There you go. You're like the Rock of the rock world, because the Rock is the people's champion.
Yeah. I wish I had his money, but
right.
But it's like, and labels and management have fought us through the years to be like, you need to be more elusive. You need to hide out in the shadows or whatever. And be this rock star. And I'm like, I'm not good at that. Like, I want to go out and say, thanks for coming to the show. And thanks for buying that shirt and hang out with everybody and just be appreciative, because without them, I don't get to do this. I don't have a job that I love. I'm not able to come home and feed my kids with rock and roll. And because of them, I'm able to. So, there's bands like us, and like I was saying, the Black Moods and Blacktop Mojo, and, the Lonely Ones, and these bands that have built a fan base of true diehard core family. It's more of a family than it is. And it's cool to see fans from all over the country interacting with each other online. And then the certain shows that we'll do in like Vegas, or like the cruise shows and some of the destination places that we go, and they all converge in the same spot, and they're able to meet each other for the first time, and they're all just friends. So it's literally creates this family of rock and roll fans based around a band or based around a couple bands. And
it's awesome.
I love that. I love that they have that connection. I don't think you see a lot of the bigger bands that have that kind of vibe. Sure, you share the fan base, but it's just a different kind of energy with Royal Bliss fans.
No, and I totally agree. Royal Bliss has always been one of those bands where, before and after your set, you're in the crowd with the fans, you're signing autographs, taking pictures, doing this, that, and the other. Never been one of those bands, like you said, that was try to stay in the shadows and stay away from people. Now let's shift gears a little bit. A minute ago, you bit your tongue, without mentioning any of those bands. And, I know what bands you were probably talking about, but let's talk about some of the bands that, I don't know, that add something to your life, that adds some positivity, or, that you just love. You guys have played every stage there is. Do you have like either one festival, one show, or one band that you've toured with that, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if you'd say the pinnacle of your career, but like one of those memories that you're going to take with you that you're like, yes, I am glad this happened?
Yeah, I mean, what comes to my mind right off the bat is I remember we played a show here in Salt Lake called Viva Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And we were opening for the band Candlebox. And I remember Kevin Martin, the singer of Candlebox, watching us from side stage. and I guess went back and called his manager and said, we have to get these guys on tour with us. And so then we ended up going on the road with Candlebox, and that band, I think, changed the direction of our career. Not only inspiration wise, as me watching Kevin Martin as a vocalist and a front man.
Yeah.
Because he's amazing. He's still amazing.
He is.
But just his support of us and being like, the world needs to see you.
Yeah.
So I give Candlebox a lot of credit of really taking us under their wing and showing us to the world, showing us to the rest of the country on their tours. And we're still friends to this day. And I hope we can, I think we're going to do some more shows in the near future. And then, you know, like I mentioned the band, the Black Moods.
Yeah.
They're, you know, they're kind of like us, but they're, you know, a little bit smaller band out of Phoenix. They're starting to really make some noise, but playing with those guys is inspiring. So
wow,
it's to watch those guys on stage and watch those bands that have that energy and passion and just love being on stage, like, is, you know, it lights that fire where it's like, yes. And even, you know, Kevin played with Candlebox, did a show with the Black Moods, and I went up to Boise to watch Candlebox, Aaron Jones, and the Glorious Sons.
Yeah.
And both three awesome bands that clearly play with that passion and love what they do. I love the Glorious Sons. Oh man, those guys are amazing.
They're incredible.
And Kevin said the same thing, where he's like, he's talking about retiring next year, but then playing with bands like that and the Black Moods and us, he's like, just being around this energy is lighting me up again, where it's just like, because he's been stuck in those genres where you're just, where there's just, and the musicians out there know those shows that don't have energy, that's all based on lights and fire and smoke and mirrors. And it's soul sucking, because it's like, this band's getting paid $500,000 to play this show, and they don't even care that they're there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Here we are getting paid a pittance of that, and just playing our hearts out and having the time of our life, you know. And that's the thing, you know, for Kevin and for me, that started sucking the life out of me in the active rock world, which is like, man, these guys aren't in it because they have to play music or they'll die.
Yeah.
You know, they're in it because of something else. They want fame, or it's all about the money, or I think more than anything, it's the ego in some of these people that they just want to be rock stars.
Yep.
But yeah, so Candlebox, Black Moods, bands that, like, you know, the Glorious Sons.
Yeah.
There's a bunch else out there, so I'm sorry if I didn't. You're watching this and you're my friends.
You'll be like, man, come on, dude, you didn't drop my name.
Yeah.
Well, if we figure some out, we'll put them in the credits after this. Neal Middleton of Royal Bliss, based out of Salt Lake. You know, been around for quite some time, and still going and still making incredible music. Before we talk about your new music, I want to go back a few years. Was it the second season of The Voice that you were on?
Yeah.
Second season. Okay. Season 2 of The Voice. First off, when you sent me a text and you're like, you got to watch it tonight, this is my episode, man, I went home. I think I left work real early, went home, got super drunk, and got into the full frame of mind like we were talking about earlier. And you sang Heard It Through the Grapevine and killed it. Absolutely killed it. But those 4 assholes didn't turn around. Now, after the show, you first off, tell us about the experience, but afterwards, did any of them come up to you and go, dude, man, I'm sorry, I should have? I mean, is there that regret factor afterwards with those with the judges?
No, you don't really talk to the judges. Like, just briefly afterwards, I shook their hands and just said thanks. The only cool thing, like, Blake Shelton went on because my name was like the #1 trending thing on Twitter, but they spelled it wrong. So Blake Shelton went on and said, it's not any IL, it's any AL, folks. And I thought that was really cool that he actually went on and mentioned that. But other than that, I mean, the whole experience was wild. It was so different, not something that really fits me. But it was like management kind of put us in there. And it was one of those things where, like, all these pop artists are getting a lot of credit. I'm like, I'm going to go represent rock and roll. Yeah. Maybe it'll give some momentum to the band. I had just had a baby. I was super stressed out financially and career wise. and it took way more time than it was supposed to. A lot of people think it's just you go down and it's a blind audition, but there's like 5 auditions that lead up to that audition. So I was down in California like for 4 weeks leading up to the blind.
Wow.
And it was cool. Like mainly the best thing about it was the people I got to meet,
you
know, on the show that I'm still friends with to this day. That was the best part of it. But, you know, it's like, I wouldn't do it again. And, but yeah, if I would have made it further in that show, it may have broken up Royal Bliss. And I was hoping it would be a good thing for Royal Bliss, but I think it was more of a stressor and a negative kind of thing. Because I think there's still even people in rock radio that are mad that I did that, mad that we did some country stuff.
Yeah.
So there's those decisions of, you know, people like, oh, you're not authentic to the rock and roll or whatever. But it's like, I wanted to represent rock and roll and be me in that. If I would have gone on there and sang some Maroon 5 song, then yeah, it would have been a little weird. But, you know, I did it Creedence Clearwater style. They picked the song for you too. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, they tell you what to sing. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to rock this out.
Oh, yeah. The hat that you had too. I can still see the hat that you wore on the show.
I got it in the other room.
No, that's badass. That's badass. I always told myself after I saw you wearing that hat that I was going to get one. And then I was at a hat store at Gorin Brothers, and they had one that was really very similar. And I put it on. Then I realized my big ass head does not need a hat like that, because all it's going to make me look like is I'm all head and nothing else. And
yeah, I got the same thing. That's why I try not to lose too much weight, because I look like a bobblehead, especially if I wear that kind of hat.
I had somebody the other day, because I lost 70 pounds recently, and somebody says, you look like a Bratz doll. And I'm like, oh, man, come on.
I was going to say, you look good, man. You look good. I need to drop some pounds.
Well, you know, mine was due to alcoholism and stress. So, you know, if you want to lose 70 pounds unintentionally, then all you got to do is drink yourself to near death, literally. Crap yourself, piss yourself, and then work in a place that has more stress that you could ever imagine. And you know, so when your body and your mind, your soul kind of just say screw it, you lose 70 pounds. And then you have to replace your wardrobe.
We should totally do like one of those, you know how you're always scrolling through Facebook, and there's like, all right, stop scrolling. If you want to lose weight right now, guys, listen to this. All you got to do, and then do that same spiel. Become a raging alcoholic. You know, drink a couple liters of whiskey every single day. Get extremely depressed. Piss yourself. You know, it's like, that'd be hilarious.
Oh man! Oh, that's awesome.
Find a high-stress job.
Yeah, you want to lose all that weight? It's the real LA weight loss. we got Neal Middleton with Royal Bliss on with us on Loud and Unfiltered. And Neal, I know you've got a lot going on, and we're going to get you back onto the show so we can you know, get those questions answered that I just didn't even have time to ask or whatever. But I want to get to the Unfiltered finale. As we said earlier, we want to end the show on a giggle. Much like it's like my sex life. We want to end things on a giggle.
Yeah.
So the Unfiltered finale will give you like 3 to 4 questions, just stupid questions, and let's see what you can how you can answer them off the top of your head. And the first one. What's the worst drunk purchase you've ever made?
Oh my gosh. I always freeze up on these questions. I don't know why. It's like, I just go blank. And as soon as we hang up, I'll be like, oh man.
I know you've made a few drunk purchases. Let me see what's in that room of yours. Do you have anything on the wall back there that you bought? You're like, man, I'm hammered. Let's get this.
You take it here. I've definitely bought some dumb things. I know nothing in this room actually, except for these 4 pictures, but I love these 4 pictures. Yeah. I'm going to show you these.
Okay.
These are some of the coolest pictures ever. See. Yep. So you got Never Ending Story.
Yeah.
Done. Then you got, oh crap. I mean, you know this one. What wedding? Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. Yeah, all I was thinking was the quote from it. Forget it. Okay, next. Okay, so we got Bowie.
Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth. Yeah.
And then
I can't see. I see a little glare on it, so I can't tell that.
Yeah.
I see.
That was the Goonies. So you got the Goonies too.
Badass.
So, but oh man, I'm trying to think of big purchases. Tour bus. I guess that's one. We were broken down. Our motorhome busted down on the road. And I was like, screw it. I'm looking up buses and found this random Silver Eagle in the middle of Indiana and looked it up. And I'm just like, all right, we're going to pull this off. It was one of those things where I got so far in the process that I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
That's one of the drunk purchases where it's just like, you're so adamant about it. This is such a good idea. We're doing this. You get people involved. You figure out bank things while you're still hammered. And then you start to sober up and be like, this is not a good thing. But you don't want people to know that you were talking out your ass.
Right.
So it's like, so we bought this Silver Eagle tour bus that was the worst purchase ever. Like it had water damage. It was like parked in a field, but I'm like, no, we're going to fix it up. And that was a really bad one.
We got to be made from the same DNA. I'll see something totally work. I can fix it, man. And then it just sits there.
I was like on that tour. I remember being on the road, and we're on the road, and during the days, I would go to the hardware store and buy like planks of wood and all this stuff. So we're tearing apart this bus while we're on the road, trying to fix it up and make it livable. It was just spewing out black smoke out the back the whole time. We had to put like a gallon of oil in every 150 miles. It was.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm just like, this is going to be fine, guys. We're going to figure it out.
All right. What fashion trend or music genre should never return?
Oh, my gosh. Fashion trend or music genre. Fashion trends are fun. I mean, people are, I like that they can express themselves.
Yeah.
However the hell I think that's cool. Music genre? Oh, geez, man.
I'm going with disco.
But you cannot tell me that you have not been at a wedding and started shaking your ass off to some disco music.
You're right. I have. So, we don't need to make it again. I mean, we already made the best disco songs we can make. Let's leave it at that.
Okay. All right. I see you there. I could go with that. Like no new disco.
No new disco. Yeah.
Because that's an era in time that you can never recreate. It'll never happen again. They needed disco back then. I mean,
oh boy, did they, man. That was
the new disco is like EDM or whatever, It's like,
oh yeah. I didn't even think about that. I guess disco has been remade a few times.
Yeah, right. I mean, everybody was on drugs dancing to disco back then. Now everybody's on drugs dancing to EDM. So.
Oh, okay. What's something you shouldn't do naked?
Oh, geez. Shouldn't do. There's like a lot of things you shouldn't do naked. Go grocery shopping would be one. Grocery shopping, especially like when you have to get up to a high aisle or get the stuff off the bottom shelf. Or can you imagine a bunch of naked people just picking through vegetables and stuff?
What about the guy bending over to get something on the bottom shelf and you see that hairy taint?
Oh, yeah, like the really old guy. Really old guy's just trying to get down there. And he's tripping up on the sack and
the sack's dragging the ground.
Oh God, yeah. No, that'd be horrible.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, we've got one more question after this final unfiltered finale because something I forgot to ask you.
Okay,
and I'll ask that here in a second. But the final question of the unfiltered finale: what's your guilty pleasure?
Oh, guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Oh man,
dressing up in women's clothing, watching General Hospital. I don't
know. Disney songs, like old school Disney songs.
Oh, no.
Like I love the Little Mermaid.
Oh, dude, she's so hot.
Little Mermaid, I'm a big fan. Like all those I grew up with, like Beauty and the Beast and
yes,
Aladdin and stuff like that. Like I'll bust out those songs left and right. But
oh,
I like me some Disney music.
I love Disney music. All right, so he survived the Unfiltered finale, and this is typically where we end the show. But a question, and this is more than just one question, is a bunch of kind of, let's talk about your new music. We talked about everything else. Forgot to ask you about the new music because Black Rhino has to be. We started the thing off telling you that Devils and Angels is top 5. My favorite song ever. Black Rhino is one of the best written rock songs of our era.
Wow, man.
It's got more hooks than a pirate convention. It's got, the production is incredible. I mean, it's not produced like a rock song with all that compression. You can all the layers, you can hear all the layers. The writing is everything about it, Neal, is an incredible song. It's a heavy song. It's one that it's something you could listen to before you go out to whoop somebody's ass or something. I mean, let's talk about this new music, because to me, you guys really went in with a fire and a passion with this one. What was kind of the focus or the inspiration behind it?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the bands, we wrote this album in 2020 for the most part. Actually, Black Rhino was written a little bit before, but then inspired lyrically a bit during 2020 as well. Yeah, because originally it was a song about what we've been talking about being a band like us. Yeah, that we don't have all the backing tracks, we don't have all the fluff and fireworks, and about surviving and still doing what we love, and that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because I feel like we just had the best year of our life, and financially and musically and everything that we've done, that I think we found our comfort zone. Yeah, we don't need to be the biggest band in the world, we just need to be able to do this for a living. And so, but then it's also the inspiration of like us bonding together as people, like to get through that pandemic. And, and don't worry, we're going to make it to the other side. We're going to be fine. And the whole record has a lot of that theme to it. And it's coming out hopefully in March, fingers crossed, February or March. It'll hit the shelves, even though we, wrote it in 2020. But a lot of those songs have that kind of like, we're gonna be okay, get out and see the world. Yeah, that's there's a song called We Rise on there, that's another kind of heavier song. And yeah, it was definitely just influenced by the separation of everybody during 2020, where you couldn't see anyone, and like just trying to keep people together, like doing online, playing the shows that we did online, and still bringing people together, at least around a screen, that eventually we'll get to see each other again, and it's going to be okay. Yeah. And then a few other songs that are just influenced by basic life situations and relationships and kids and stuff like that. So it's funny to listen back to the lyrics through the years, even of my own music, and see where I was at that point in my life. Yeah, because that's where I write the lyrics, come from that, where I'm at that moment, or what I've been through for the past couple of years leading up to writing those albums. And this one's good, man. It's got some heavy stuff. It's got some really different, kind of different songs on there too, that I don't think there's any other Royal Bliss song that's like them on there. So I'm excited for people to hear it. There's a song like, my mom's been fighting, she's stage 4 cancer, and she's been fighting that for 4.5 years. So there's some inspiration there, which I found now, like when I'm writing now, a lot of my songs are influenced by that. Like she's coming to the end of her battle. And so it's like every time I start writing, because the way I write is the guys play and it just comes out. Yeah. And so obviously it's the things that are occupying my brain right now, which is mortality and missing my parents. So, and the struggle of the fight against just basically invisible demon that's eating away the lives of people I love. So it's it's all our lyrics are just from my life.
Yeah.
And I try to write them in a way that other people can relate and understand. And I think that's the reason we have a diehard fan base too, because people relate to real life situations.
Agreed. And that was, I was going to say it, so I'll echo it. It's your music is some of the most relatable anybody can, regardless of genre. So doesn't matter, doesn't matter what music you like. If you like music that moves you, that is relatable, Royal Bliss is it. And brother, I just want you to know, first off, fuck cancer. Second, I love you. I don't think we all say it enough. And if this is the last time we ever talk, I want you to know how much you mean to me. I love you. I'm not saying that this is going to be, but that man, that you just hit me hard.
Know.
You never know. And you just hit me hard with that. I love you. I'll keep your mom in my heart, your parents, your entire family in existence in my soul. And I hate to hear that. And you've got a lot of people behind you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for continuing to support us, man. It's really good to see you.
I love you. Okay, now let's we're going to end things here. I want to ask you a question related to your Wikipedia page. So when was David Lee Roth in the band?
Someone put David Lee Roth in the band.
Did you? Yeah, go to Royal Bliss. Go to the Wikipedia Royal Bliss page, and it has David Lee Roth as a former member.
That's awesome.
Dude, that is badass.
I'm gonna post that.
Yeah. I was sitting there. I was sitting there. I just Googled Royal Bliss because I was trying to look up the timeline to figure out how long I've actually known you. And so I'm looking at y'all's Wikipedia page. It's like David Lee Roth. Holy shit, that's awesome, man. Yeah. So is it Royal Halen or Van Bliss? That's awesome.
For that brief period of time, it was just David Lee Bliss. So.
David Lee Bliss. There we go. Yeah. I love it. Well, my
brother. Is that a bull's penis hanging on your wall?
Hold on. Yes, it is, but I can't remember where I put it. Where's it hanging?
Right there, hanging on the wall.
Where?
Is that it?
Where do you see it?
That staff, that cane right there. Is that a giant bull's penis?
Hold on.
Underneath the kilt or whatever that is.
Oh, over here. Oh no.
Oh, okay.
that actually I have somewhere hanging around here. I've got some of those truck nuts in Texas that, everybody with a truck's got truck nuts hanging off the hitch, and it just looks like a big old sack. So I got those around here somewhere. That's what I thought. This was the collar from my dog Boogie, who passed away a couple years ago. That was my best friend. He was a good pup, and we my best friend had one of his pups, and we just had to put him down recently. But yeah.
That was a bad point out. I'm like, it looks like my wife's grandpa's bull penis cane hanging there. I'm like, oh, you got one of those too.
Yeah. Well, we both had a couple emotional moments there. So yeah, shit happens, brother. I love you, Neal Middleton. I love you, Royal Bliss. Everybody, check out Royal Bliss. We can't fight the streaming. Artists like yourselves get screwed day in and day out, but streaming is the elephant in the room. And we know people are going to stream. I prefer them buying the physical product. But if someone was going to stream Royal Bliss music, which platform is the best for you? Is there one?
I mean, Apple Music has the best payouts pretty much as far as the easy ones. But I mean, anything, anytime you can listen to our music, that's why we made it. So
there you go.
Whatever's easiest for you. And then if you really love it, then go to our website, royalbliss.com, and buy a t-shirt. Then that helps us out. So, or buy the physical CD off the website or anything like that. So if you're just like, yeah, it's pretty good, then just listen to it and share it with your friends. Maybe they'll love it.
Yeah, make sure all your Royal Bliss fans out there and friends buy the physical product. This is a band that needs to be around for years and years to come. So make sure you support all the artists, especially these indie artists like Royal Bliss, who went the major label route and decided, you know what, middle finger to them, we're going to do it the right way. So help them out. That way they can keep creating this music, and we can keep Neal on the podcast with us. My brother, again, I love you so much. I can't thank you enough for joining us, and we're going to have you on again really, really soon.
I love it too. Love you too, man. And it's really good to see your face. Thank you for being there in the beginning, and I'm glad you're still with us now. And
always.
And you look great, even though it was induced by severe stress. You look happy. You look like you're doing well. And you ever need anything, hit me up, brother.
I will. You as well. And let's get ready for that new album to come out in March. Fingers crossed. Crossed it comes out in March. But looking forward to the new Royal Bliss music. And next time I see you, I expect Royal Bliss merchandise to say David Lee Bliss on the front.
Love it. Oh, God.
All right, brother. Have a good one. And thanks for joining us on Loud and Unfiltered.
All right. Thank you so much, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Hey, thanks for joining us today on Loud and Unfiltered. I'd like to thank my guest, Neal Middleton from Royal Bliss. What a great dude. When you get a chance, go check out all of their music like you heard on the interview. Black Rhino is the new song. It's incredible. And of course, they've got just a catalog of hits, including one of my favorite songs ever called Devils and Angels. Check them out on iTunes. As a matter of fact, while you're listening or watching this podcast, regardless of platform that you're on, please subscribe, follow, like. You know the drill. It helps me out a lot. It helps the podcast out a lot. So make sure that you follow us on all the different platforms, review us, all that other good stuff. And of course, you can find us on our website at DaleJr.forPresident.com. The lawyers tell me that I have to give you a disclaimer. Loud and Unfiltered is in no way affiliated with Dale Earnhardt Jr. or his potential desire to run for president. But it's a cool website and a cool idea if he does run for president. Hey, DaleJr.forPresident.com. We've got all of our articles up there. We've got our merch booth and so much more. And like I said, make sure you like, follow, subscribe on all the different podcasting platforms. Appreciate you joining us on Loud and Unfiltered. Please remember, be a good human. Drink Diet Dr. Pepper and stay loud and unfiltered.